Hi everyone, welcome to another podcast for the Geeky Gimp, and today I have Andrew, and can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I run Andhegames.com, among other things. I go by Andrew online because Andrew Miller is they're both Andrew and Miller are pretty common names.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
just a branding decision. Andrew. And I right now I am building some game prototypes, some print and play stuff, just to kind of teach myself how to design board games and card games. I'm also interviewing as many game designers as I can get a hold of.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So you have a blog?
Uh-huh.
So what is your blog? You interview game designers and stuff?
Yeah, it's mostly interviews right now because I feel like I'm kind of in a learning stage.
Right.
Where I don't have a bunch that I feel like I can write authoritatively about
Right.
game design. But as I start to kind of get my head around game design and the process and everything, I definitely want to start writing more blog posts and kind of sharing with people. Yeah.
So who are some of the designers that you interviewed?
Well, so far I've got Matt Leacock, who designed Pandemic.
Oh, Pandemic, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, the Flying Sheep or Chip. His last name is, the pronunciation eludes me. It's Bouvet, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's a really cool guy who's often on Board Game Hour.
Nice.
Then Gil Hova, I just posted his interview, and I've got quite a lineup of people who are filling out interviews for me. Or
nice.
Yeah. So Jamie Stegmeyer just sent his interview back to me, so I'll be posting that pretty soon.
Awesome.
Which is exciting. Yeah.
How do you find people?
Well, I basically any way that I can.
Right.
Usually they'll have email addresses or contact email addresses on their website.
Right.
Sometimes I do have to contact them through Twitter, which I don't really like to do because it's kind of informal.
Right.
But I have had to do that occasionally because they just don't have a email address posted.
Yeah, I find more and more I find less emails. It's hard to find emails.
Yeah, well, it's really smart that people are tending to post them less because I think generally you can end up getting a whole lot of spam or added to a lot of bad lists. So contacting through social media tends to be a little more filtered, a little more safe than actually posting your email address.
Yeah, it does.
So I think people are figuring that out a little bit.
Right. So do you read other blogs too?
Oh yeah.
What are some of your favorites?
Well, definitely Jamie Stegmeyer's blog has been something that I've been kind of binging on to understand the ins and outs of kickstarting and stuff like that. So I've been reading Brett Spiel, which is really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really just kind of getting into it. Keith Bergen is one writer that I really enjoy his stuff. Cool. I find a lot of the information out there tends to be more on the publishing end, which is interesting. But I'm kind of trying to learn game design more right now.
Are you designing something right now?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm working on a couple projects and just trying to get my head around them because it is such a hard thing to kind of, at least for me, it's really difficult to think about game mechanics and how all the systems work together. I tend to think of, theme and art and aesthetics first, like I think most people do. So it's been a learning process. I've abandoned a lot of designs pretty quickly, but I feel like I'm getting better over time. Yeah, so.
Like where do you get your inspiration from?
Oh, probably a variety of places, I guess.
Yeah.
I think, well, some games that I play, you play a game that you really like and you kind of try to dissect it and
Yeah.
understand why it's a good game and
Yeah.
why it's so incredibly enjoyable.
Right.
I also I try to read a wide variety of kind of books and subjects, and I think that I also listen to a lot of podcasts,
Yeah.
some on kind of business, but also on history, technology, different stuff like that. And I think that gives me kind of a wide range of things to draw from. So my ideas tend to be combinations of different. I guess the simplest answer is I don't really know. I just try to expose myself to as many kind of games and concepts and stories as I can and draw from that. So
I have like all these ideas, but I have no idea where to start, because it's so like, oh my god, it's just a lot of areas to focus on, and it's just difficult.
Oh yeah, it's a really kind of steep curve
Yeah.
from I have this great idea, wouldn't that be great, to execution.
Right.
Like, how do I actually make this a great thing and not just and I think it starts off like many kinds of art. You just start making terrible things and you learn what's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm definitely slogging through kind of my bad beginner stage, but it's you learn every time you turn over. You learn a little more.
Yeah.
I think the key is to just kind of do things and learn as you go. Yeah.
So are you gonna, if you actually design something, are you gonna do Kickstarter or something else?
I think Kickstarter is a great way to publish a game, to self-publish a game. I'm really more interested in kind of creating whatever size of game that I can make by myself and publish by myself.
Yeah.
I'm kind of more interested in that model right now than kind of trying to go find a publisher.
Right.
And that's an incredible amount of work, but I also have always kind of loved business and building my own little online micro businesses and stuff. And so, taking the idea that, I'm not going to be starting off with a giant, big bucks game that is really logistically crazy because I'm doing this by myself. And, but that's ultimately what I want my setup to be.
Yeah. So what do you think about all the, there's a lot of controversy about Kickstarter and different companies using it as a way to, Game Salute uses it as a way to they know they're going to publish a game, but they use Kickstarter as a way to get pre-orders, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So
as a pre-order engine,
right.
Kind of I need your help to actually make this project a reality.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's really kind of a perfectly viable way to kind of get your audience involved in something that's kind of fun, and hopefully I think it would be smart for businesses to give people some sort of discount, perks, different things like that for supporting the Kickstarter. I think that's smart, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that companies do that, or that people do that, because it really is. I think I see Kickstarter as more of being kind of a group project. At its best, we can all kind of work together as Kickstarters and backers to make something really cool. And so I don't think that needs to be restricted just to people who need a certain amount of money to do the project. So
it doesn't really bother me. I'm just kind of, it doesn't bother me. I don't think it's not hurting anybody. So I'm just kind of
I think probably people are just, they have this idea of the spirit of Kickstarter being, you are helping start something, create something that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Right.
And so it can seem a little skeevy if a company says, well, this is going to happen anyway, but because we want a lot of pre-orders, here it is on Kickstarter.
Right.
But, that doesn't necessarily have to be their attitude.
Right.
And I would imagine it usually isn't,
Right, true.
These are passionate, cool people trying to make something that's of worth, and Kickstarter happens to be a fantastic way right now to connect with your fans and find new people, and I think that's totally valid.
Right.
I mean,
clearly
there are people who have used Kickstarter in poor ways, and there are a lot of, kind of widely publicized examples of where people got in too deep and didn't actually know how to complete the game or the product or whatever.
Right.
And that's always kind of sad to see because it hurts Kickstarter as a platform for everyone.
Yeah, it does.
But I think it's still a remarkable tool, even if some people, accidentally or purposely misuse it sometimes.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, in my blog, I focus on disability and accessibility in games. When you design a game, do you think about accessibility, or?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily that far yet.
Right.
I'm kind of barely dipping my toes in a lot of aspects of game design, I feel like. And I think quite a bit about kind of making things colorblind friendly.
Right.
Because that's something that I think way too many both physical game designers and video game designers don't think about. And I think it's, a pretty important thing to look for. And I also but that's mostly the extent that I've thought about up until now.
Right.
But no, I really want to get into reading more of your blog and understanding more of the kind of issues and considerations when designing games. Yeah.
What would help you learn more about that? Just reading different blogs and stuff? Yeah.
Consuming lots of information.
Right.
I mean, I would love to see just kind of, I'm a very, visual sort of learner, and I really like examples, you know, so maybe examples of games that have done some aspects of the accessibility poorly, or, games of, shining examples of good games that have, done things right, would really help me just kind of internalize what that means as a game designer.
So what are some of your favorite games? Like, what are you into right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really a Pandemic is one of my favorite games.
Yeah,
I really
me too.
Like Pandemic. Yeah, it's fantastic, and it goes so well with kind of introducing people to board games.
Yes, it does.
And I have a lot of people around, like in my family, who have maybe played kind of traditional, Scrabble, Monopoly, those types of board games, but not necessarily anything beyond that.
Yeah.
And so I've been playing Pandemic with a lot of people I know, and actually I've I think 4 or 5 people have bought it because I've introduced it to them.
Nice.
So it's kind of fun introducing people to the amazing hobby with this amazing game.
I actually I brought Pandemic on vacation with us, and I got my parents to play it. And then,
awesome.
Every day they're like, can we play Pandemic again? I'm like, yeah, totally.
It's so great.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it doesn't have, the kind of competitive thing that can kind of turn people off sometimes.
No.
And it's just, it's so intense.
Have
Especially
you,
when people are playing it the first time.
Have you tried the expansions?
Those are on my Christmas list.
Oh, okay.
I definitely the next thing I want to buy is the first expansion of Pandemic, On the Brink.
Yeah.
Because so that's probably one of my favorite games. I've also been playing Love Letter, which is really cool micro game.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Just kind of a fun light game.
I found that with Love Letter, I don't like it as a 2-player game, but 3 or 4 players, it's much better, I think.
Yeah, I think the complexity kind of all the deductions and stuff you have to make increases. Yeah. 2-player, it's pretty cut and dried, even though it works well.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just got a little while ago, like, the Carcassonne big box set.
Oh, really?
With all the different expansions and stuff.
Yeah.
And my wife really loves playing Carcassonne, so we've been playing a lot of Carcassonne. We'll just drop in 3 or 4 expansions at a time, and play a big game of Carcassonne.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really I'm starting to collect kind of the basics.
Right.
A lot of these are kind of games that I've, are kind of like the games that people should have, when they're starting out in the hobbyist market. So yeah,
cool.
It's been fun. Nice. What are some of the games you're playing right now?
What am I playing? I'm playing 7 Wonders. I love.
Oh yeah.
And I'm playing what else am I playing? 7 Wonders, Forbidden Desert.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Did you ever play did you play Forbidden Island too?
I did play quite a few games of Forbidden Island a little while ago, and actually I completely forgot to mention that I have Forbidden Desert and play it quite frequently because it's awesome.
Which one do you like better?
I think Forbidden Desert has a little bit more meat to it.
Mm-hmm.
Forbidden Island feels like a good game to introduce kind of younger kids to this type of thing.
I agree.
It does pretty quickly. I mean, it's not nearly as complex, so it can be easy to grok, fairly quickly.
Right.
It's still a really fun light game to play, but for myself, I would say Forbidden Desert I prefer.
Right.
Yeah.
I get really stressed out when I play Forbidden Desert. It's like, oh my god, we're gonna die.
Yeah. Well, Matt Leacock's games are the most kind of tense, stress-oriented games I've ever played.
Yeah.
I had so much fun because when you're all the first couple of times I played Pandemic, I remember this moment during every game where we were suddenly realized that we are losing, we are going to lose, and we're all suddenly standing up at the table, pointing and shouting about what we were going to do.
Yeah.
I love those moments.
Yeah, me too.
Because then you sit down afterwards after you've been horribly whooped by the game,
right.
and you just go, "Oh man, I was just so engaged."
Right.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I find that I actually get really exhausted. I have to take a nap after I play.
Yeah. It's emotionally draining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's intense. And 7 Wonders I've played a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't think I quite understood the strategy of it quite yet because I hadn't really gotten into any sort of drafting games at that time. This was kind of early on, so I didn't really understand what was going on so much. I have been playing an iOS game called Star Realms.
Oh, I have that too. Yeah.
Yeah, we should play.
Yeah, we should.
I'm totally hooked on it, and drafting as a mechanic is just really caught my eye because it has kind of a hidden complexity. That first you go, oh well, this is totally random, I'm just taking cards, but then you realize that wow, I can actually improve over time and get really good, somehow. And it still seems like magic to me. But it's really I'm hooked on it. So
yeah.
So Yeah, challenge me. Andhegames.
Okay. I will, yeah. So how can people get in touch with you?
Twitter.
Right? What's your Twitter handle? And
At
your
Andhegames.
and the website is
Andhegames.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Spelled just like it sounds. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on my podcast.
Oh yeah, it's been fun.
It has been fun.
And I really look forward to seeing you and everyone at Board Game Hour every Monday.
Yeah,
it's
me
always
too.
a great time.
Yeah, it is. Okay, well, take care.
Yeah, you too. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another podcast by the Gimp. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, reach me on Twitter at Gimp or my email, erin@gigigimp.com. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Bye-bye.